So if you've watched my podcast before, you've probably heard me talk about, I guess, the importance of making sure your content is not just on a single platform, but is, I guess, spread out across multiple platforms so you're not centralized in a single location. So make sure you're distributing your content. Now, obviously, YouTube is the monolith that it is, and it is the biggest platform, and if you want to be making videos successfully, you basically have to be on YouTube. There are some exceptions, but those are exceptions that either got big early on with YouTube or got big outside of YouTube. Most people, if they want to make video, they have to be on YouTube, but that doesn't mean that you have to only be on YouTube. So you probably know that me and I guess a lot of other Linux creators as well also have backup accounts on Library. So Library is my main alternate platform, but I also have my BitChute, which I think there's like 28 subscribers on this, and then also my BitTube, which I wouldn't recommend. The only reason I use BitTube is because it automatically posts my stuff from YouTube onto the platform. If you want to use the platform, go ahead, but if you want to use one of our alternate platforms, then Library is where I would recommend going. But I realized something else. So I realized that I wasn't on as many platforms as I probably should have been on. And when it comes to my support platform, so that means things like my Patreon, I was only actually on one recurring donation platform. So if you know anything about what's going on with Patreon right now, you know they're in a bit of legal trouble. Now, I can't actually talk about it on the channel because I feel like saying what is basically happening with them is going to get this video demonetized. But if you go look up Patreon legal or Patreon legal trouble, you'll go and find it pretty quickly. It's probably going to be the first thing that pops up on your search engine. It's kind of a big deal with Patreon right now. So the reason why I decided to move over to other recurring donation platforms, or I guess not move, also start up other profiles, because I'm not closing down my Patreon. If you want to keep using the Patreon, that's cool. But the reason why I decided to start up other platforms is because I don't know how long Patreon is going to be around for. It's very possible that in the next couple of months, it just shuts down out of nowhere. So I want to make sure that I'm in a situation where if that does happen, I'm not going to be just like, well, I don't know what to do now. I'm going to prepare for it. So if that does happen, then I'm basically going to be safe for it. Now, obviously, I have my Patreon itself. So if you want to keep using the Patreon, that is cool. Feel free to do that. It's not closing down. I don't actually post anything on here. Basically, the only thing you get if you pay on the Patreon is you get like a Discord rank. And when I start live streaming, I guess I will have like a Patreon call thing, or I guess a supporter call now, because I also have a account over on Subscribestar as well. Now, if you were to donate on Patreon or Subscribestar, the rewards are going to be the same. I don't actually care which platform you use. If you want to use either of them, feel free to do so. It's your money. Obviously, if you don't want to support, that's entirely up to you as well. But if you choose Patreon or Subscribestar, the benefits are going to be exactly the same. I don't really think there's any point, I guess, incentivizing one platform over the other. Just having the platforms there, I think, is good enough for most situations. Now, the other platform I have that I started up around the same time as my Subscribestar is my LiberaPay or LibrePay. I'm going to say LiberaPay because it's got an I in the name that makes me think it's supposed to be pronounced LiberaPay. But anyway, this is more focused around, I guess, developers. So it's got like a list of all my GitHub repos on here, but there's no reason why I can't actually use it for things outside of that. Now, on this platform, you can basically donate with anything you pretty much want to. I've got PayPal and Stripe set up for this. The problem for setting up LiberaPay for me was I actually had to go and set up my own Stripe account, which means there's one less middleman in the way. So LiberaPay basically exists here as a platform that has a profile on it. So I'm going to assume, I haven't actually looked at what their cut is, but I'm going to assume their cut is probably less than Patreon, because Patreon, has to maintain the payment processor themselves, and there's just a bit more work for them to do. So I'm going to assume the cut is probably a bit less for LiberaPay, but the problem with this platform is its weekly donations, and I don't know if there's a way to change this. There might be, and I just haven't seen it, but it seems like at least the default is weekly donations, which kind of does get a little bit annoying if you were coming from being a Patreon and then you move over to being, I don't know what I'd call someone from LiberaPay. I'm just going to call them a supporter. If you move over from something like Patreon and you become a supporter over on LiberaPay, you have to kind of recalculate what you actually want to be donating. So it's basically just divide it by 4, but it is a little bit annoying. Now, the other thing I have, which I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing with, is my locals account. Now, I haven't actually done anything on here yet. I think I'm still waiting for it to... Actually, no, it seems like it has been accepted. So this account actually is open. The Subscribe Star is still under review. And the reason why Subscribe Star is under review is because they've been getting, I guess, inundated with people trying to join the platform after the stuff that has been happening with Patreon. So this might take a little bit to get done. I can probably speed up the process a bit, but I might just leave it for now because this video is not going to be out for 7 days. So it'll probably be done by then. If it's not, I will just go and expedite it then. But anyway, if you don't know what Locals is sort of like Twitter, but I guess more focused on the creator. So the only people who can post on this are the people who I say can post. So I could have myself, and I could bring in someone like Brian Jenks, or I could bring in Donald Fury, and they could all be part of my little community. So they could all post on this, and then people could, you know, interact with the post. But unless I let other people post in my community, they wouldn't be able to do so. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with the locals. Really, my only thing I'm planning to do with this right now is just sort of use it as, I guess, another recurring donation platform. So to actually join a locals community, you can set it up so people actually have to pay to join it. So I could just use it as like a recurring donation platform. I don't like paywalling stuff, so I'm probably not going to do that. I might make it so... I don't know, I'm starting to blog now, so I might just release my blogs early on locals or something like that. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with it. I'll work that out. For now, it's just going to be a recurring donation platform, so if you want to use it as a recurring donation platform, this is another one. Now, I think I've set this one to $3. LiberaPay, you can pay whatever you want, and then Subscribe Star, the tiers I've got set up as exactly the same thing I've got over on Patreon. So if we look at, how do we see my tiers? My membership? Here we go, tiers. So they're all 2, 4, 8, 16, so on and so forth. Yeah, anyway, as for my video distribution platforms, I said I've got these 3 here, and then also for my podcast, I've got the Tech Over Tea account on Library as well, which is at nearly 8,500 subscribers now, which is completely ludicrous. But I have added some extra platforms in here, so I've got a Facebook page. Now, you might be thinking, well, isn't it weird to have a Facebook page when you're a Linux creator? And you might think that if you're someone who is super hardcore about open source software, but I realized that not everyone actually is. And the way that I realized that is that I have followers over on Instagram. So there are people on Instagram. I presume there are people who are on Facebook who like my content. And plus the fact that most of my audience is 25 and older, and the audience of Facebook is no longer young people. It's a lot of people who are considerably older than I am. I think maybe like 70 or 80% of my audience is considerably older than I am, and those are the people who are actually on Facebook. Now, I presume that a lot of you guys aren't on Facebook because it's a terrible platform. I don't actually like it, but I might as well set up the Facebook page because I can get everything auto-posted here. And the same thing for my Dailymotion as well. I don't care about Dailymotion, but if you use Dailymotion, all of my content will be available over here as well. Now, I need to work out how to actually set up my Dailymotion profile, but that can come at some point in the future. So with Facebook, I have also got the Tech Over Tea Facebook account. So if you want to watch the podcast clips or the actual podcast itself, that will be over on Facebook as well. But the other thing I'm going to do with Tech Over Tea is the clips are going to be posted over to my Instagram. Now, because they're being posted to Instagram and they're in 16:9, what I'll have to do is, you know, the top text, bottom text thing, and just stick the video in between those, which is a little bit annoying, but I guess it is what I have to do to basically get content to fit into an Instagram format. Now, I obviously could post my main channel content to Instagram as well, but I don't really think that makes as much sense because from what I see, Instagram seems to, I guess, appreciate more of the comedic content of the, I guess, general commentary, not about tech. Obviously, I do have people who are interested in tech actually following me on Instagram, because they obviously wouldn't be following me if they didn't like tech, because they're people who follow me. But I think it makes more sense to put the comedic content over on this platform, because I think it's going to be doing a bit better here. Plus, it gives me a way to, I guess, advertise the podcast in a way that isn't really annoying. It's providing content to the people who follow me on Instagram without saying, hey, go and watch the podcast because I want to advertise to you. It's a bit of a nicer way to do the advertising without throwing it in people's faces like that. Now, for the Instagram videos, I can't actually have these auto-posted because I have to go and edit them first, which is a tad annoying, but it's sort of the price I have to pay to get my content actually fitting onto Instagram. Now, as for like the Facebook pages and the Daily Motion accounts, there will be a Daily Motion account for the podcast. I just haven't got that one set up yet. For those, what I'm doing is I'm using a service called Transferring Videos. Now, it's not like this entire video was just an ad for Transferring Videos. I just think this is a really cool service. If they do want to pay me though, I'm more than happy to accept that. So what Transferring Videos is basically a service that gives you the ability to transfer videos from a bunch of different platforms to a bunch of other platforms. So for example, I could take something that I upload to Twitter and then post it over to Vimeo or post it over to Facebook. Or in the case of what I'm doing, I'm taking something on YouTube and then posting it over to Dailymotion and also to Facebook. Now, I could also post it to Vimeo if I wanted to, but I don't have a Vimeo account set up and I don't really think there's, I guess, much value in doing so, because isn't there like a fee you have to pay to have a Vimeo account or something? And I don't really think that really justifies it. Now, I might be wrong about the fee, but if I want to pay a fee to host my videos, I'm just going to do it on PeerTube and run my own server, which I do want to do at some point when I eventually get my website set up, which is coming along. I have wrote the website. I just need to set up the web server, so soon TM, that will be coming. But if you do want to use Transferring Videos, it's 90 euros a year, which is 150 Australian dollars, which sounds expensive, but when you break it down to the cost per month, that is, for me, a little over $10 a month to have my videos synced to as many platforms I want to have them synced to. That seems pretty cheap in my books. Now, I did mention my blog post earlier. What I'm doing with those is right now they're all being posted over to Minds. Now, if you don't know what Minds is basically just like a sort of Twittery thing, but with a bit more of a focus on, intelligent content. So, for example, I've got this blog post here, and I've got a couple of others on here, and by the time this video goes up, you'll probably see some more. I'm actually really enjoying blogging, so all my blogs are getting posted to Minds right now. As I said earlier, I'm probably going to post them early to locals. That seems like a good idea to use that platform. And also, when I get my personal website set up, which I'll do a dedicated video for that one when I do have it set up, just so I can actually properly announce it, my blog posts are going to be posted over there as well. So hopefully that ends up coming along soon. So I know this was a bit of a break from the regular content, but I kind of just wanted to get all of this smashed out in one video, because I didn't want to just drag this out over a couple of days being like, hey, I'm on Subscribestar, hey, I'm on Locals, hey, I'm on, what else am I on? LibrePay, hey, I'm on Dailymotion, hey, I'm on Facebook. It makes more sense to just get all of this done and then get back to the regular sort of content, but I still get the ability to actually announce that I'm actually on these platforms. So hopefully you still enjoyed the video, and I think that's everything I want to say today. I don't want to drag this out any further than it needs to be, so I think I'm going to go. But before I go, I don't just want to thank my patrons, I want to thank my supporters. So a special thank you to Joachim, Craig, Nathan, Andrew, Monster, Peter D. Rowe, Tony, Donald, John, Spagine, and Zilva. I have some extra names in there, and it's annoying to keep track of them sometimes. But anyway, if you want to actually support the channel, then there'll be a link to all of my stuff down below, as well as my Amazon affiliate links when you buy the gear in this channel, or anything else I use, and you can support the channel. If you want to go check out my podcast, that is Tech of a Tea, available on Library and YouTube, and also some other platforms, which will link down below. And also remember to go check out this channel, available on a bunch of other platforms, which will all be down below. I need to resort out the outro now. And remember to smash the like button and leave me a comment down below. And remember to subscribe and ding the little bell icon down below as well. So I think that's pretty much everything for me, and I'm out.